Well, here it is. The first match of qualifier number 2 is off to a hot start here. We'll get to see how the new shakeups, the new teams that have formed together get to play out. We'll get to see how and who gets to step up, of course, to that podium end game finish. Who's going to make their way up towards the upper brackets. The action is already very much in motion as this game has a couple of players already taxed out and sent back to the lobby. It's Chaos Gaming, though, is on the spotlight right here, going up against Braids and Visuals, who are on the defensive.
Doesn't seem like they have any indication. Well, now they will, as Chaos trying to get aggressive with the side flank, but again, Visuals doing an excellent job alongside his duo Braids to just create a little bit of space here, kind of keep Chaos at bay for just a little while longer. It at least permitted Visuals a chance to regen some white heals. Braids, though, still having to go straight back to the defensive, try and hide behind his wall for the time being, but Trow, nice hook shot around the wall. It's going to bring Visuals down real low, and it almost feels like a delay of the inevitable, but Visuals, he's the first to fall. A clean knock there from Trow. Now Chaos Gaming, a little bit on the ropes, but again, a clean two-piece elimination side by side here for Chaos and Trow. They're going to be one of the first teams to strike here today.
Yeah, great pickup, but you might have Bacon and TK sliding on in. Off in the distance here, Bucky and Okus are likely also hearing the battles that are going on. And don't forget, everyone here at the Grim Gate does, of course, gain access to these dash ability, right? This underworld dash, which gives you all of the advantage in the world. We saw this executed so wonderfully well against teams that understand how to essentially battle with it, right? Use it in an offensive way, not just a defensive way, but when used on offense, it can be such an advantage, especially if you have the unlimited basically from the medallion. But speaking about TK and company, we knew they were going to jump in. We knew they were going to take the fight. It does look like the team has their back against the wall. Chaos Gaming might be the first to get picked up here as Fierce Trow was backed way off there. There
just
goes a great tag.
Yeah, not a real opportunity. Chaos just did not get a chance to recover. Same circumstance for Trow, just incredibly low, forced to fully retreat. But TK and Bacon, they might even choose to pursue Trow, just look for another easy elimination. They know that Trow's likely shambles after having just come clean off of an early engagement. But even if your time to elimination is quick, MDF, you should always anticipate that third party scooping in.
Yeah, you never really know what's going to happen, especially in these pretty much early to mid-game looting paths. But got a little bit of a highlight here from Miles and Snevy. Let's see how it's going to play out. Miles to swing around onto Baby Yaga. It's going to be a quick and clean pickup up out the Pleasant. Well played for him. And now we have a bit of an ambush potentially coming down from Macwood and Blake. So it does seem to be the story of the game right now. Early game, duos rotating, getting in position, and likely taking advantage of teams that are initiating battles.
You can see Crayon and Watton just trying to create space. They don't want anything to do with Macwood and Blake. They can tell this is a duo in a far better situation than us, but too little too late. Blake's gonna be able to find the knock. Now the full elimination. Reboot card potentially up for grabs if Watton gets a chance to circle back around, but as far as Blake and Macwood are concerned, just a nice confirmation on the elimination. Helps them with their surge strategy throughout the development of this lobby.
Meanwhile, Snevy putting that water bending to good use right here. We have seen a bit of a rise, I would say, in some of the mythic selections that are available right now in competitive, as there is a lot of strength. You can find yourself in the prime position to take advantage of what they're capable of. Meanwhile, Miles and Snevy are way behind. If you find yourself in a type of situation like this as a Fortnite player, you really do have to somewhat take several steps back, get your loot together, start farming your material, and essentially start preparing for what will be a mid to end game. Otherwise, you'll be way behind. Here we get to jump in with D-Roller and Crackley. A little bit of an update to what's happening here. No eliminations just yet, and D-Roller not quite focusing in on the duel that's pushing. Here we go.
Just a couple of ramps from Fishy, but the Roller tagged up a little bit. Nothing to really be too concerned about just yet. The real question is, where is Crackley through all of this? As you can see, a little bit more of that side angle approach, trying to see if he can maybe apply some pressure on a different line of sight. Does get a successful tag onto Pi, so for now, quick drawback. But Pi, Fishy, one more time. Looking to see if they can apply a little bit more damage here, and same mentality for Crackly and Roller, but again, Crackly just creating a little bit of space, looking to farm up some more mats. And now Arx Fishy kind of lurking, just keeping tabs on where Roller and his duo are actually falling back to. And it doesn't seem as though they're all that interested in trying to keep that engagement going for much longer. So Roller and Crackly, they're definitely going to be able to walk away from Snooty Steps for the time being, and with a couple of tags in tow, I mean, that's some Sturge. Again, that's the primary thing that all of these duos are looking for right now, because you want to be able to establish your surge really well early on. That way your mid game can be a lot more prioritization around your positioning and setting up for the late.
You can see a bit of a different situation on hand for a team like Edgy and Tavern, who already have damage and eliminations. They're looking to upgrade their weapon and their arsenals. They're playing the outskirts here, not looking to engage into any team they don't have to. But for Dragon and Poppy Blast, complete different story. This is a W key completely enabled right now, as they have 4 eliminations. They're working their way towards 6 right now. Great tag there to kick things off onto this duo, and they already had the advantage, mind you. But it's not looking good for the young Dave Goggins here. Hard work and determination can get you so far, but let's see what his Fortnite skills are looking like.
Dragon does get tagged up a little bit here. Fabio force him to reconsider, but still, top-down approach is the intent here, as now Davey Goggins is gonna have to watch his duo get knocked. Fabio just full-on eliminated alongside his teammate Davey Goggins. So Dragon, Poppy Blast, definitely pretty happy to have control now of Lavish Lair. Ample amounts of loot here, as Kelly so kindly pointed out on the analyst desk, even though it was more in reference towards Clix and Epic. Well, again, Clix and Epic, they're not the only team that recognizes just what kind of resources are available at Lavish Lair, despite it not having a medallion. There are features surrounding it and within that POI that make it a pretty prime spot to land at.
Yeah, and you know, teams like that can have their work cut out for them, especially if your opponents end up in the same lobby as you, right? A team that picks up 6 eliminations in any one of these types of settings is no duo to overlook at. But Source seems to have clutched up on behalf of Dave. Dave was knocked in this exchange, but Source picks up the 2-piece for the clutch. You saw the initial kickoff, and then the relentless hunt to finish off Necro there allows him to win the battle there. Can he save Day to get him back in the game is the question. Jump in with Okus and Bucky for a little update. From center map, now off to rotate on into the later stages. I saw, though, in the feed there, it looks like Blake was knocked and eliminated in the feed there, Tacos. So not looking too hot possibly for his duo, Macwood.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to consider Blake and Macwood, they at least qualified through to round 4 in week 1. So series points definitely looking pretty solid for that duo. Source and Day, on the other hand, they missed out in week number 1. They didn't actually qual through to round 4. So seeing Source clutch up in that kind of solo position, that could be a huge confidence boost, a nice momentum swing, something that that duo is definitely in need of. And I know it's super early on in the day to be calling this MDF, but they need a pretty big performance here today if they want to try and lock in that lower bracket inside of semis, even better still uppers. But again, you're looking at like a top 10 placement for teams that missed week 1 if they want to try and lock in the upper bracket. So semi's a lot more realistic for the lower bracket side.
Yeah, and coming into this situation, we did get a little bit of a glimpse at what those series leaderboards are looking for. And I mean, the points are ranging. On the high end, you have around 650, but the average of the teams within the top 10 is closer to 500 points, right? So you're gonna need at least that and then some in order to really solidify yourself a spot and push out anyone who, of course, made that week 1 and earned themselves a healthy amount.
Kind of amazed to see how long some of these teams stuck around at Pleasant Piazza. It's not really a POI that strikes me as a multi-team split. So the loot here, looking a little tough for Dolzier and Yishao. They definitely want to find another engagement relatively soon. You can see they're trying to get the rotate in early, maybe try and find some prime positioning on edge of zone to take advantage of eliminating a duo and hoping that they have the materials and resources necessary to carry them through the mid and late game.
Let's jump in now with Ritual and Reet. This is like a Season 1 favorite right here, if you remember. So far, they have a lot to prove. Great initiation here from Ritual. Had he had that sniper shot with the follow-up, it might have been a full finish.
Some clean tracking, though.
Yeah, they're going to be content with the tags there.
Also, just forces their opposition to pause a little bit shy of them. So now, Ritual Reet, they could even possibly look to turn back one more time and just kind of lock that team further on the edge of zone. Make them take a little bit of those early storm ticks, but mostly just controlling their positioning because of the way that Ritual was able to apply some pressure of that Warforged assault rifle.
Well, the damage is there. It seems like Ritual and Reet did decide to turn back, but no, Reet gets caught in the crossfire here, and the exchange is not good. Ritual does have the health advantage right now over Young Watson, but Watson has plenty of heals, and the more time he gets here, the less likely it is. Looking like an easy elimination for someone like Ritual, and look, he has full control of these catacombs as well, so tough spot to be in right now if you're Ritual. I'm sure he's grabbed the card and gotten out. Yep, tournament life means a lot more than pride and ego here for the elimination, so I like the call to disengage. I like the immediate reaction, if you will, to get right back to the save, because this was super important for them.
For sure, and it's actually Watton wanted a little bit of revenge here. That was a nice sniper shot as well, but big ups to Ritual for scrambling there and managing to at least get the trade, because bringing Reet back into this match, being able to confirm even picking up Reet's reboot card in the first place is huge, but from what it's looking like, MDF, the loot's in a little bit of a tough position. Bucky and Okus, though, they're looking to actually take full advantage of Source, who actually did get the reboot off on today, but now still fighting for their tournament lives here.
You can see the map tells the story in its own. Isolation up at the north side. Source and Day were playing this outskirt here, trying to get their loadout together, trying to avoid conflict as they already had 2 eliminations, but seems like the story is completely different for Bucky and Okus, who likely felt the pressure of the late game coming around and said, hey, this is a fight we should take here, especially since Day was saved and picked up a little bit late. So if they had that additional information, you have to assume they have all the advantage, and so far it's a pretty, I would say, even exchange between Bucky and Okus. Yeah, look, they're content with the damage they've done. They back off here.
May have also spotted out that there were some additional footprints kind of lurking around. TK and Bacon directly underneath Day and Source's box right now, and I'm almost wondering if Source getting the reboot off on today might have been the bat signal for everybody else hearing the audio cue for that reboot van, which might have drawn the attention of the likes of Bucky and Okus, Bacon and TK, and also just the fact that the zone just pulling a little bit more towards this northern side of the map. But the action is definitely jam-packed here at Rebels Roost, and Day and Source, they don't seem like they're in any sort of hurry to try and leave their current position, but almost wondering if they have the same indication that Bucky and Okus seem to gather from the odds of TK and Bacon lurking nearby.
Yeah, Day and Source seem more, if anything, cautious of what could be an ambush waiting outside of this base. I'm willing to bet they don't know this team's underneath them. And notice TK and Bacon do have the Underworld dash there too, so they do have a slight advantage should the fight kick off here. No, nothing is going to come as far as an engagement's concerned, but hey, they get to farm up a little bit more here. I didn't even realize you can use the Hades chain like that to go ahead and fish
it's pretty
out.
effective.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
But I'll tell you what's not ideal. Several different teams. Noxy on the receiving end of a massive shot here. Day and Source, they're going to be the ones applying all the pressure in the world. Noxy's going to be the first to fall. Is now Day. Side jump wrap around, but again, creating cone over his head. Ramp just in time, but Chris still connects with a decent amount of damage. But again, Chris fighting to try and keep the dream alive here in this first lobby. And it's actually going to force Day to go full defensive here. Crisp able to create just enough space, picks up shield potion as well, so he might actually have an opportunity here to reach max 200 HP, but one more time, PK Bacon, they're just getting all these cues in the world of the action that's taking place, and Bacon doesn't want to sit around any longer. He's ready to strike.
Yeah, he caught a couple tags onto Source, and he dashes right in. It couldn't be a better timed engagement for TK and Bacon because there's a lot of points to be had here, and they desperately seem like they need a refresh. They need a pickup. They don't have a lot of materials, so between Day and Source, likely dragging out a battle between them has set them way off par, off course, if you will. They need a refresh right now. But no, they lose the momentum. They allow the teams to kind of settle in, and there it is. TK and Bacon back off again, utilizing the last of their dashes to get out, and there's other teams nearby too, so this is just all types of bad right now for Crisp. We already talked about it. Crisp and Noxy, one of the fresh duos coming in right now. They cannot afford to throw games like this, let alone utilize the clock, right? Most importantly, you have more games, of course, but your time invested in this one, this is a well drawn out round.
Not only that, but Crisp also has a lot of heals. Those are some crucial resources that Day and Source would love to get their hands on, not to mention the material count, like you already pointed out. Crisp just burning through builds, trying to create a little bit of space here. Crisp does get some damage applied onto Source, but too little too late. Day with the quick backup to ensure that his duo doesn't get taken out. And now, one more time, Source, Day, they're looking to keep standing.
Meanwhile, things settling down here on the south side. The zone's been revealed. It's pulling pretty far down, and you can see teams beginning to congest their way onto the outskirts. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces popping in right now. Here's Easy and Shark at Rebel's Roost, about as far as you can be. We already know they're holding down a team. They're listening in for the setup right now, and that could be Day and company coming in from the zone right now, all late and whatnot. But no, it's a completely different team. Okay, this is Willer's.
There's just so much sneak strategy being employed by so many different teams. Just a lot of crouching around the map, kind of trying to see if they can bamboozle some other teams or third party at optimal times. But again, with the way that the damage threshold fluctuated so rapidly for Shark and his teammate, almost makes you wonder how consistent their surge strategy has actually been throughout the course of this lobby. Jack and Cease definitely have their surge amply filled here, 470 above. And with the surge tower, something that's not necessarily as common here in Major 2, but it's still a handful of teams opting to try and employ these huge monuments. And if you have decent positioning with it, I could definitely see the appeal, because right here on the skirts of Underworld, you know there's going to be a lot of teams rotating in from that northern side of the map as well, and Cease and Jack that might have drawn the wrong sort of attention.
Look at this though. Picked up by Ritual, so we know that was coming straight from the storm there, and it cost them a lot. Luckily though, it is going to favor this eastern side where Reet and Ritual were coming out from the storm's edge. Just ever so above the surge, even with only a singular elimination, so they're not quite safe. They could, for all we know, be the one team above it. It's very small threshold, not a lot of buffer room to work with here.
And even if you don't consider the lack of heals or shields for Reet, it's the ammo as well. Doesn't really have a whole lot of ammunition to try and take any sort of long range, mid range, or short range combat box fights. He's got to be really tactical in his approach alongside Ritual, and they definitely need a refresh ASAP. Otherwise, things could get even worse than how this lobby initially started for the two. So many teams, though, playing above the river of sticks. Underworld dashes. T-Sync gonna unfortunately find himself in the box of another duo, and that will be the end of his run here in this lobby. But Day and Source, one more time, posted up. in a decent position, but they've got to be careful with all these duos surrounding them. I can imagine that some team's going to get desperate with their surge and possibly look to jump into their box.
Hello to this guy, Happy Gamer, in the water. He thought he was slick, he thought he was low-key, but no. Spotted out by Zeus and Pikes. They needed this, but a team dashes right in, and that's the danger of the zone pulling towards the Grim Gate. Now everyone has the advantage of offense in their favor. Should they just take a little dip in the water here? And just like that, that's what happens. You cannot have weakened walls. You cannot have open spaces between yourself and the protection around you. A team can easily dash in and do it for free of charge because the river is right here.
Just so hard to prevent that, though, because even if you're trying to hold the wall, 9 times out of 10, that Underworld dash is going to forcibly get a player into your box regardless, or vice versa.
Look at that.
I mean, how many times have we seen teams opting to save those dashes to make rotates just like that from picks? And again, for a time, they can hold some materials, but it's Bucky and Ocus who have that aspect of agility. They were the victors of the Cerberus Medallion here at Grim Gate, and now they're right back on home turf, essentially. Flowberry Fizz, and immediately just catapulting themselves to front side of the next zone. Now able to look back and apply a ton of suppressive fire if they so choose, but it seems as though just establishing their position on the high ground is optimal enough for now.
Yeah, I like the spot that they found themselves in. I think that's definitely gonna lend themselves to a pretty strong endgame finish right here, but Ritual find the refresh they need. The mats are looking fantastic now. The heals not so much, but they are very much back in the game. Let's not count out the fact that Bananas are just busted, so they'll be able to get right back into things, but no! We blink, and all of a sudden, Source and Day land right on top of Ritual and Reet. Or was it just Ritual? I can't tell. Reet, oh yeah, Reet did get out. Oh my gosh.
Still, from rags to riches is the storyline here in this first lobby as far as Source and Day are concerned. Whether or not they can keep confirming solid refreshes like that, which they just found onto Ritual, is another question entirely, but look at height. Bucky, Ocus again, all the way up top. Meanwhile, mid-ground warriors, you've got Tavern and Edgy. They might be the next to try to tango with Day and Source, but they've got to be wary. The team on height, Ocus ramping all the way up. He's definitely trying to just make sure that he's staying ahead of the zone and doing an excellent job at it. But Reet right behind, coming onto that secondary height layer, could cause problems though if Bucky catches wind of where he's at.
Yeah, Reet's just ratting his way through at this point. He's like, oh, big base, a lot to work with. But no, all of a sudden he sees another team contesting height. He wants nothing to do with that. A little too chaotic for him, but should be able to hold things out for a little bit longer. If he times it correctly, he could jump in right when it's right. And yeah, look, he's third to height, so placement is the name of the game for him at the moment. Since it's doubling back over these old builds, there is a lot going on here, a lot to work through, a lot to fight through as well. If these are not your builds, and Source is seeing the bulk of just that. Storm weighing heavily on him. He needs to get a heal in right here if possible, but I'm gonna rotate first. I like this. Goes to the ultimate low ground, but it's out of heavy maps. Pretty tough spot to be in now. Jumping in with Reet. Still on the hunt right now, almost top 15.
Reet's just looking for an opportunity, hoping that he can find another solo isolated or a duo that splits up just enough for him to take full advantage of it. Bacon and TK, meanwhile, Flopper gonna be exchanged, but no shields available for Bacon currently. It's gonna be Flowberry Fizz in hand from TK that will provide just a little bit of shield, but again, they know that they've got to keep the move going, but Tavern spotted out. Clean elimination. That's a nice refresh for Bacon and TK to pick up, but it's being able to maintain this pacing, tarping through these old builds, MDF, that you just pointed out. It's causing so many issues. Reet took a chance, tried to strike, but forced to retreat instead. Won't even be able to maintain pace with the zone pool. Finds himself getting eliminated to the zone ticks.
Not bad though, picks up an extra 10 placements as a solo there. Still a big performance nonetheless, but top 10, top 5 is really the sweet spot. You want to start inching your way towards. Jump back in with Bacon and TK, the team that's been ratting from position to position. They came into this endgame with a very scrappy build set and somehow have managed to continue to find just enough from zone to zone to stay in the game. And The Elim's starting to add up here. Talk about Elim's racking up. Commander and Kyzin, how are they doing? They're at 8 right now, pumping through the lobby here in a top 10 in store. Edgy has a solo. It's going to shut down Ishu before he falls here. And now we're in a top 5 situation.
And Commander and Kyzin starting to understand why they've got such a high elimination count built up, just clearing out the mid-ground layers, playing one above ultimate low ground. But Bucky, Okis, they were trying to control height. Instead, they get overtaken higher, and Playify now fully in control of height. They don't have many materials left to work with, though. Build's running so drastically low. Same could be said for Bacon and TK, on the other hand. But they're still trying to hold out. So many heals available for Bacon. He could just look for the heal off, and that does seem to be the intent. Playify trying to play a little bit of disruptor, but he's not going to be able to find Bacon. And Bacon, we saw he had 5 medkits, a couple of floppers. If Playify can't find him, then nobody will. Higher doing what he can to try and keep things going, but it's just simple math, MDF.
Yeah, he's got the heals. I don't think the other teams have enough to work with, but for all we know, they just might. Higher's going down. He's going to at least find elimination. Hey, those points are worth something. Even in the end there, it's going to be Commander and Kyzin who end up winning this. And quite honestly, I thought it would have been Playify and company. The way they played second height and took their time through that end game, it should have been theirs. But congratulations to Kyzin and Commander there.
Commander, honestly, getting a bit bailed out by that third-party interference. Unfortunate stuff for TK and Bacon, but at the same time, when you have one of the leftover remnants, 4 floppers, 3 medkits, and Commanders did an excellent job holding on to them, making sure to keep a spread enough position that couldn't be threatened, so the victory royale belongs to them. But as for everything else, we've got Zeke the analyst to break it all down.